We would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the traditional owners of the land we record this podcast on, the Yagara and Turrbal people,
and their continued connection to the land and waterways on which we meet. Hello and welcome to Sportish, where we talk about life through the lens of sport. I'm Libby Trickett.
And I'm Georgie Trickett. And I'm excited to be here, Libby, because I've spent a lot of time not only on sporting fields but in hospitals of late with my children who are just lifting the national average for broken bones and allergic reactions. So honestly, it's just exciting to be able to have a conversation with you that doesn't involve medical emergencies.
I know, you poor thing. You've really just been going through it in terms of health and broken bones. And one of them happened on the sporting field, of course.
And I think, I feel slightly smug because there's a lot of commentary about in that sort of play space where people say we don't see enough children with broken bones these days. And in my family, we do. We see more than enough. We see too much. It's embarrassing when you get to the hospital and they're like, can I have your Medicare card details? And I say, oh, look, I don't have it, but if you look in the file from last week, you'll be able to get it.
Just last week.
It's just there. It's available anytime. It's definitely peak term 4 energy.
Well, I mean, I speak for you and I, but I feel like we're speaking for the sporties as well.
Yeah, we see you, sporties.
It is just a grand old limp to the end of the year, and that is okay. We are surviving. We are doing enough. We're doing our best.
Just enough.
Just enough. And that, you know what though, Georgie? That is enough. That can be enough. Doing enough is enough.
Well, it just has to be enough at this point.
Correct.
That is the reality that we exist in at this point in time.
Couldn't agree more. But having said all that, we have so much to talk about on this show, I feel like. Well, we've got a couple of, I'm not sure if yours is a recommendation, but I've definitely got a recommendation for a sports adjacent book.
And I'm very excited to talk about this. Should we start there and then
Do you want
move?
to start there? We can start there.
I think we should definitely.
Do you think we should consider thinking about starting at that particular spot?
Should we discuss and contemplate and let's do a meeting
reflect on
and agree it?
Think about it. And then maybe we could just.
I'll send you a memo.
We could just start maybe at some point.
The book or the thing that we are talking about, it's something that I don't know how I touched on it with you at this idea that Brené Brown had a new book out, but it was like I opened a vein for you and a portal from which you just needed to spew information at me.
That is correct. I basically launched at you. And like for people who don't know me personally, and perhaps I don't even know if you knew the full extent of my love for Brené Brown, but I have a deep, unending love for that woman. Never met her, obviously. I hope to one day. That'll be a real life achievement for me to be able to meet Brené.
So this is a real parasocial relationship.
Oh, my God. No,
Deep.
I've decided that I don't know that Brené is old enough to be my mother, but Brené Brown is my mother and Adam Grant is my father, and I hope one day they will adopt me. So yeah, no, things have been weird in terms of that connection that I have with them, but particularly Brené Brown, I just am entirely obsessed with her work, her research, everything that she has spoken about in terms of vulnerability and leadership. I have read a number of her books. I've recently bought like the last 3 books that I hadn't read of hers. And yes, the most recent book that she has released is called Strong Ground, which is where you started to discover my intense love for Brené.
Yeah, and she's someone I've come across in different contexts, like certainly talking about shame, being the man in the arena, that sort of thing. And I very much respect her approach to this. She's clearly a social researcher, or she's a researcher that has an incredible capability to communicate. And what I hadn't appreciated is the work she's done with organizations. So her primary work, from what I can understand, is actually working with massive multinational level organizations and coaching them and working through with them how their leadership structure works and therefore what their culture looks like.
Exactly right. And that kind of, I think, was a little born on the back of the fact that she did this viral TED Talk probably about 10 years ago. And that was off the back of so much research, and that was all about vulnerability. And it just went absolutely crazy at the time and kind of launched her, I guess, the second part of her career where she's, she still teaches and she still does so much research, but she is working a lot with those high-level organizations and particularly the leadership in those organizations. But the reason that I have been absolutely frothing on Strong Ground, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's sports adjacent. So a million years ago for her, she was a swimmer, and that's something that she kind of has talked about in a number of her books, the fact that she used to swim competitively. But she obviously still has a deep connection to sport and lots of different sports and what it can teach us. And, she also talks so much about how sport is like the greatest leadership arena that we could learn from because of the experiences and the expectations and the pressure and navigating all of that in a quarter or 5 minutes in one game. So she has so many incredible sports analogies throughout Strong Ground. She has an entire chapter dedicated to a move or a play in the NFL called the tush push.
The tush push.
Correct, the tush push. An entire chapter dedicated to it and how important that is. But the whole book started where she had this injury through playing competitive pickleball. So she's clearly very competitive still. But she realized through that injury that she needed to develop a strong core. And her trainer talked about finding her strong ground, so really grounding in and developing that core muscles and how she then has applied that to so much of her research now. And it's just, I cannot recommend it enough. I just think it is, if you have even an inkling, which I assume if you're here and listening to Sportish, you like sport a little bit. If you have even an inkling of enjoyment of sport, you will absolutely bloody love this book.
So I'm a little way into it at the moment. I think for me to read this sort of information, and it's literally looking at these leadership skills through the guise or through the lens of sport. It's what we talk about. It's using sport as that analogy to understand different aspects. And she doesn't use it all the time, but it certainly makes it really easy in my mind to conceptualize what it is she's talking about.
Correct.
And she's very good at explaining what the sport is. So you don't have to understand American football to understand the concept that she's talking about when she talks about the tush push, which is essentially like, in rugby union terms, it's like a rolling maul and the ability to get players behind a ball and get a ball over the line, but it takes the team to move it through. I loved the conversation she and Adam Grant have then had about this book because I think he opens up a whole nother way of her communicating. And Adam Grant, for those who don't know, he's another incredible social researcher who has an unbelievable way of communicating that research.
He's an organizational psychologist and he was an elite diver as well.
Yes.
So he deeply resonates with the sports analogies as well.
And that whole concept of strong ground, he or she in this conversation said it offers tethering, connection and stability, but it's also the platform for explosive movement and change.
Yes.
And again, in my sporting head, that just makes so much sense because if I think about softball, when you're batting in particular, your footwork, your foot placement, how you're moving your lower body for what is, essentially an action that involves your upper body and your arms and all that and your eye, hand-eye coordination, how you structured your body on the ground and how you were moving your feet was so critical to then how you could hit the ball.
Yeah.
And to then apply that to an organization and saying, if you don't have these foundational aspects right, you can't do the simple things, but you also can't take the advantages and move to the changes and be dynamic as an organization.
And flexible and adaptable.
Yeah, I think for the sports nuts and even for the people who just love a bit of sport, this is such a great book to get some really brilliant life learnings out of. It's so easy to read, and she is a great listen for an audiobook.
I was just going to say, so the way that I've been kind of digesting it is through the audiobook, and she is she's got that real kind of Texan
amazing
twang, which is amazing in of itself, but she also very deeply understands how people listen and might get distracted through audiobooks. So, if she says a quote that you kind of catch the end of, she'll be like, let me say that again on the audiobook. So, which I super appreciate because, distraction central over here. But I love it so much that I've actually gone and bought the hard copy book as well.
Yeah, same.
So I'm going to read it immediately.
I'm going to have highlighters all the way through it because I just think it's one of those books where you read something and already I'm like, I want to go back and read that again because I want to understand it better. And I think such a good tool as well if you've got kids in sport and you want to talk to them, I guess, on another level about what sport is about. This is a great book to give you those sort of tools.
The only other thing I would say, like you might go, leadership isn't for me.
And that's what I thought.
Yeah, like it's not going to be what I need in my life. Like, right now I'm a stay-at-home mum. What do I need leadership for?
Well, you are a leader of 5.
And that's exactly right. And I need to put that in perspective. However, it is all about relationships and connection and understanding how we can be strong in ourselves, in our own strong ground, and how that relates to everyone around us in everything that we do. It's not just leading in the workplace.
It's absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend. It's 2 5-star reviews here from
absolutely.
Sportish.
Big time. For what it's worth, Brené, you can come on anytime.
All right, so while we're in the realm of recommendations and reviews, I've also been watching and want to talk about a show that's on Disney Plus at the moment. And I went into it, it's called Chad Powers, and I went into it having been given the impression that it was like a new version of Ted Lasso. Now, Chad Powers is set in American football. Its main star is Glenn Powell, who you'll know from like a lot of rom-coms of late. He starred in something with Sydney Sweeney. He was in Top Gun. He's kind of like Hollywood's go-to action/rom-com man at the moment, I would say.
I need to Google him because I have no idea who you'll
see him.
About.
You'll know him. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen him in anything though.
Yeah, it's because you haven't watched many rom-coms in the last 10 years of your life.
He was in Twisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, Top Gun.
He's definitely man about town, I would say, in Hollywood at the moment. I had a similar reaction to you because I was like, how interesting could he be? But this was said to be like Ted Lasso, set in American football. And I was like, I need to watch this. I need to know what this is. We need to talk to the sporties about this.
Yeah, I'm in.
And in the first episode, I was like, this is 100% nothing like Ted Lasso whatsoever, and I hate it.
Ooh, interesting.
And yet, and Ben, my husband, was watching it with me as well, and he was like, I don't even know what this is. And I think because we'd gone into it with that premise of it being Ted Lasso, we were like, this is not Ted Lasso at all.
Mm.
And we were a bit sort of in a funk about it. But we went back the next night and we watched 2 more episodes. And by that stage, I would say I was well and truly hooked.
Oh, because the last time I spoke to you, you were like, meh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very interesting.
Right. So I think once I'd had that mental shift of there's nothing Ted Lasso here, and I think like people have got to be so careful with making those references.
I mean, don't throw Ted Lasso around as though that's
up here.
That's a high bar.
That is a high bar. It's not to say that this isn't good TV, but that is like, right up there in terms of sports watching. That is not real life. That is not real life sport. The premise of this is that Glenn Powell's character is like a fallen college athlete.
Okay.
And in the depths of his despair, in his very much dying career, he decides that he's going to go trial for a college football team as like a rookie out of nowhere using a prosthetic face mask, essentially, and create this whole alternative character called Chad Powers. And the minute you realize that that's happening, it definitely gave me the feeling that I got watching the entire series of Suits, where, you're sitting there thinking, this guy's not a lawyer, but he's practicing as a lawyer. And if he doesn't sort that issue out,
it's all going to come crashing down.
Something's going wrong. So you have the whole time this ick feeling that this is all like a slowly moving train wreck. And yet you're becoming so invested in all the characters that sit around the story, to the point where by the time I finished watching the last episode last night, I was bitterly disappointed that there was nowhere else to go with this.
Oh, there's no season 2 yet.
Not yet. So what they commissioned was 6 episodes. And the reason it was such a short series has been explained away in 2 different ways. One, from one of the writers or producers, was that it was always intended to just be a short, sharp season. Another was like, Glenn Powell's such a thing at the moment, he's only so available. So who knows where the truth is? Maybe it's in the middle, but it's a 6-episode series, and the plan is that it will only run for the season of the football season. So the story arc can go no further than that limited football season that he is playing. Because as a viewer, you can see, how does he get out of this mess? Like, how does this story evolve? And I think that's probably why you're sitting there transfixed, because you know that it has to wrap up in some way and it's not going to be pretty, but what's the conclusion?
So it hasn't wrapped up yet?
No. So the story finishes and we're like a third of the way through the season.
Okay, so it's not going to be like multiple seasons of NFL. It'll be like literally reflecting, even though it's multiple seasons of a show.
Yes, sorry, confusing concepts.
No, that's okay. I'm just getting my head around it. It will only be that one season of football.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's really good. And I didn't think I would say that.
Well, yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. Saying that he's wearing a prosthetic mask and trying to be a footballer, I go, that is interesting. But, Georgie, I trust you and I will go and watch it.
Yeah, it's well worth it. And 6 episodes, and they're not meaty episodes. You sort of get to the end, you're like, oh, that was over quickly. I'm ready to, sit in for another 45 minutes here.
Yeah, awesome. I'm down for it.
It's on Disney+. Go check it out.
Georgie, I have a story to regale about you, to you.
You don't about me.
I don't know.
You can to me.
I can to you. Excellent. I'm at a really funny place in, I think, my life. It's, one of those real life season moments for me, because I'm officially done having children, and I can say that categorically. There is no way I'm ever having another child ever again.
Producer Ali, can we clip that I'd just like it recorded?
Just in case.
He has said this twice.
That's true, I have. However, I know for sure that this is the last one, because we've stopped breastfeeding and I have come out of the oxytocin lair of breastfeeding, I think.
Some people describe it as a bubble. You go deep, you go dark.
It's a cave. It's the cave of love. But yeah, it's been a really interesting kind of month, 6 weeks since stopping breastfeeding, because as part of that, Archie is now finally sleeping through and in his own bed, and that's amazing. And almost immediately I felt finally a capacity to think about exercising again, because before that I was just so tired all of the time that even though I know exercise is so important for me, primarily for my mental health, there was nothing left. I was completely depleted, so it wasn't even on the table. But as soon as he started sleeping through, I started to go, I actually think I'm capable of exercising again. And then began the journey of trying to work out how to fit exercise into life.
And who you are as an exerciser.
Yes, and who I am. Exactly. Who am I as an exerciser? How can I fit it in this phase of life? Because what worked for me 15 years ago is not going to work for me as a 40-year-old mother of 5 whose husband works away 4 days a week. So for me, I bloody love swimming. I still love swimming. I cannot wait to get back in the water again. That is something that I'm working towards, finding that time to do that. I freaking love weightlifting. Like I love feeling strong. I love, that feeling of putting, a rack on your back and squatting and doing bench press. That stuff I get quite a kick out of, feeling like I'm a really strong woman. And right now, unfortunately, that just isn't available with the shape that my life is in. And, I tried getting up super early in the morning, to beat my children getting up. So like I was setting my alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning, right?
You were frothing on that too. Like you were as
for a
high
moment,
as a kite on
bloody frothing.
endorphins.
I was like, yes. And, there's a smugness that's attached to that. Like,
totally.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, did it happen if you don't tell people?
I definitely told everyone that I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning because
this is why Strava exists.
Yeah, well, exactly. That is the business model that is Strava. But the thing is that kids are unpredictable and very, very annoying at times. And I had to adapt to the fact that Archie, gets up somewhere between 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning at the moment, which is kind of puts a dampener on trying to exercise. So that didn't feel sustainable. It wasn't sustainable. Then I was like, okay, I definitely have a couple of hours at night. I'm reframing, I'm refocusing, I'm finding the next thing. But then Archie hits teething and is, a bit annoying between the hours of 7 and 11 o'clock before he hits a real deep sleep. So again, that becomes unavailable to you. And you kind of get a bit bitter and resentful because, I just want to bloody exercise. Yeah. I've been doing everything for everyone else. And I just want to find 5 minutes or more, preferably more, to myself where I can consistently do some bloody exercise.
And is that too much to ask? I think not.
I really feel like it's not too much to ask, but apparently with kids, it is.
Yeah, so selfish.
And, also by the end of the day,
everyone just wants to sit on the couch.
I'm toasted. Like, after I've made lunches and cleaned up and put everything away after dinner, I am just absolutely cooked. And yes, all I want to do is just sit and eat dinner and then go to bed. Or, mindlessly scroll on social media for a couple of hours.
Like any normal person, right?
Just any human. Revenge bedtime is definitely an issue that I'm working on at the moment. However, this is all to say that I worked out in the last couple of weeks what is available to me. And I've kept thinking about it. I've kept trying different things. I've kept looking and searching for something that not only, maybe isn't my perfect wish list of exercise that I can do, but releases those endorphins that I'm so desperately seeking to help me hold on to the last strand of sanity in my life. And so I've discovered that as soon as drop-off happens after school, on Mondays to Wednesdays, I will go immediately to a local park and walk/run, well, running's a strong word, but jog around this park. And I have done that for the last 2 weeks. And jogging and walking are not my favorite thing to do, but it's available to me. I know I can be consistent with it. I'm making it a thing where I've told all of my friends and people close to me that I'm going to be at this park between 8:30 and 9, Monday to Wednesday. So if you want to come along, come along. And I just cannot tell you how not only nice it is, obviously, to get those endorphins and release all of those happy hormones that come with exercise. Obviously, physically, it feels so good. But for me, something that I just feels so nice and grounding, talking about finding that strong ground, that consistency piece and having something that I know that it will be there for me and I can go and do it is just such a joy. And again, I say all that to basically remind people that exercise doesn't have to look the same as what it did 10 years ago. It doesn't have to look the same as what it was 5 years ago. It may not be your perfect idea of what sport or exercise or movement would be in your ideal world, but keep looking for something that fills that cup, is available to you, is consistent, and like you will just see so many benefits for your mental and physical health. And yeah, that, I guess that's me on my soapbox telling everyone to keep looking for the thing that fills them up.
I think that's such an important message, and there's actually so much to be said about what you learn through the process of trying to find your next thing. So I'm, I guess, in a similar phase, but for a different reason, where I'm trying to reestablish what my exercise routine looks like. And that's been brought about because my kids are always at their own goddamn sports practices so early that I can't get exercise in before school. And so how do we reshape that? What does it look like? And it's been a real trial and error process.
Yes, this is the thing. It is trial and error.
But you learn something through it as well. Like, and you have those weeks where you're like, I'm bloody nailing this. I found it. And I think as well, it's interesting to watch how your body responds to different exercises, and what used to work and what you used to love may not actually be the thing that lights you up anymore. And I think for me, the phase I'm in, it's about having like a toolkit that I can go to with whatever time I can isolate and go, okay, you've got this amount of time. What can you do? Have you got the gear at home? And a lot of it has now become, what gear do I have at home? And it's also just accepting that a run for me now might just be laps around the block. But that's fine, because that's better for me than a treadmill, and I like being outside. But to have found those different things and to have worked through it, I think there's a lot of benefit in that. And so often we can just be like, I'm going to go sign up to a gym because that's just the easiest thing to do. And it's so expensive. And it might be the right thing, but also don't be afraid to just take a while to figure it out.
Yeah.
To just let's see what works. And I'm excited because I've been meaning to get back to swimming for ages. And you have said to me, I'm swimming on a Friday morning. And at the moment in my head, I'm like, I'm going to try and get to swimming.
Yes. This is the thing. I've just said I'm going to be here at this pool between 8:30 and 9 o'clock after school drop off. And that's what I'm doing every week. And like for me, it becomes an appointment, you know, like it's a non-negotiable appointment that's where I'm going to be. And that's not to say that I don't have 1,000 other things that I should be doing or need to be doing. There is always something. And what I've realized, and you said it so beautifully, like we need to rediscover our bodies as they are at this stage of life. And it's not about what my body looks like that I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to bounce back after 5 kids or X whatever. You know, that's not reason. We're recompositioning. You said that to me the other day. Yeah. We're recompositioning our bodies. And for me, all I can keep thinking about is where I want to be physically in 20 years' time. And I want to be able to go on adventures and continue to explore the world and Australia and my kids and understand what my body will be capable of at each stage of life and not just existing. And so for me, that means, although, you know, ideally, sure, I would love to go and bloody crack some weights out and just, you know, be super hardcore. That would be awesome. But that's not available. So what is available? And we roll with that, we adapt with that, and continue to learn and grow with our bodies as it changes over time.
I've just realised this is a full circle moment because, Libby, Trickett, you are building strong ground.
Oh, yes. Georgie, you nailed that. Let's all find our strong ground, Georgie.
Go find it, sporties. Go find your strong ground. We're all about it. We've really drunk the Kool-Aid this week.
Oh, I am just obsessed. One day we'll meet her, Georgie. One day.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Sportish. You can find us on our Instagram at Being Sportish. You can also find us on YouTube if that is your preferred medium.
We are on the tube.
We are on the tube. It's also at Being Sportish. We like to be consistent, just to be helpful. We love getting your messages. The conversation we had last week with Beck Rippon, who is the coach of the Australian women's water polo team, went nuts. And that all came.
Go back and listen if you haven't heard it yet. It's a brilliant episode.
It's about so much more than water polo, but that all came about because of a message we received from a sporty. So if you've got a sports issue, if you've got a thought,
a question,
if you want us to reach out to someone you'd love to hear from on a specific topic, please let us know. We love making these episodes that, answer your questions. That really helps us all connect better, and that's absolutely something Libby and I want to do. Thanks again. We will be back in your ears next Wednesday, like every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday we are here, Georgie.
Every Wednesday. And if you like this episode, please share it with a friend, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.